What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome back. So I got a surprise for y'all. Let's go. Woo! You hear that? The truck is no longer quiet. The AWE exhaust. Now, this is initial impressions. I will not be doing a full review on it. But yeah, this is how it's looking on the truck. Like when you see it in person, it looks way better than on video. On video, I'm looking at the video. It doesn't look as good as it does in person. One of the things I do want to highlight on the AWE exhaust here is the tailpipes. Okay, so they're huge, they're massive. Now it looks good, but honestly I think if they went down just a little bit in size, that'd be my preference. That way it doesn't look, I don't know, like it looks too cluttered, if that makes sense. So if it was just a tad smaller, I think it'll look better on an Ecoboost. But listen to the idle. Sounds like a V8, but it definitely don't sound like a V8 when you drive it. Now, another thing I want to talk about as far as highlighting is just how AWE constructed the exhaust angle. So if you look at the angle, it kind of goes in an upward motion rather than the stock exhaust where it kind of goes down, and it doesn't look that good on the stock one. But AWE, you know, you can tell they care more. They care about performance, and also they care about how it looks. And I can tell you, this exhaust looks good in person. Yes, sir. All right, so it's time to give you some revs. So let's do it. I had a cop looking at me like what are you doing over there? I ain't bothering nobody. Leave me alone. All right, so this is in-cab. Let's do an in-cab launch. Cooling system is hot. Honestly, other than the growl, it's barely louder than stock at full throttle. And that's for me, because my stock exhaust, I cut it and I put a turn down on a tail end of my stock exhaust. So it made it louder, because for some reason, a turn down on the back of these trucks, it transmits a lot more sound just by having a turn down. And not like exhaust sound, like a throaty sound, but just like not even turbine sound, just high wind sound, like a bunch of air is being just exhausted through the exhaust. So that's the sound you kind of get if you was to get a turn down and cut off your stock exhaust and get a turn down. That's the sound you would get. But this, it's not that much louder than that setup, with the addition of the growl. Of course, you get the exhaust growl. So right now, this is 50. You hear more noise outside than you hear the exhaust. So I'm gonna get onto the freeway and I'm gonna cruise at 70 so we can get a sound clip of that as well. Okay, so this is partial throttle, accelerating up to highway speeds. It's not that bad. So let me get up to 70. I can still hear my turbos. That goes to show you, you know, what to expect with the sound. This is 70. It's honestly no drone. I'm catching up to the traffic, so I gotta slow it down. Now, honestly, at 70 miles an hour, there's no drone. So you gotta keep in mind, I do have the SPD Stage 2 resonator, and of course the AWE muffler, if you will, muffler resonator, whatever it is. AWE, they basically market the fact that they have no drone because they have 180-degree technology, which basically cancels out drone from the exhaust note. So just cruising at 70, what I was just doing, I could barely hear the exhaust. So with both of those working together, it works pretty well at cutting out any drone, because 70 miles an hour is around the mile an hour that people experience drone with any vehicle with an aftermarket exhaust. So that's that. You can still hear the noises of your truck, like the turbos. I think the outside noises outside of the truck itself is louder than the exhaust itself. So if you're okay with the noises around the truck, like the wind and the tires and stuff, but the exhaust won't bother you at all. So I'm actually gonna head downtown because I'm very close to it, and I'm gonna cruise up the steep hills of downtown so we can get a clip of how that sounds. All right. Heading up these hills. All right. Let's see. Hope they all turn green. That way I'm not stopping at every red light. That kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do right now. One thing I do want to mention is with the exhaust, I can hear what the transmission is doing more. I didn't realize how much the transmission downshifts in sport mode when going from like highway speeds and coming down to like a red light, how it is sequentially downshift as you're slowing down from highway speeds. And unless I paid attention, I didn't realize it did it because it does it so smoothly. But you know, I'm able to actually hear it happen, and it's pretty cool to hear it happen. Kind of feeds that enthusiast inside by hearing that kind of stuff. because, you know, when I drive a manual vehicle, you know, I'm doing it on my own. So it's nice to hear the transmission kind of downshift and, you know, just kind of feed that little bit of enjoyment inside. What the heck is going on? I've been waiting at this light. God knows how long. All right, are you gonna turn green? All right. And the light turns red. This light's been green the whole time. And it wants to turn red when I get here. I'm sorry, it's a little frustrating when your plans don't go as planned. Let me turn you guys around. Going up these hills, yeah, you can hear it a lot more because the engine's working a little bit harder, but it's not like that deep drony sound that you get when you're loading up the engine going up a hill with some aftermarket exhaust. It is super manageable. Also, this video is more for first impressions of this exhaust. This is my first day driving with the exhaust on the truck. So there will probably be a follow-up video months down the road, maybe even a year down the road, to talk about my experience with this exhaust over the last year. But so far, this video is basically pertaining to, you know, what is it like, initial impressions, and bolting it on the truck and going for the drive. So that's what this video was showing you guys, and also giving you guys kind of a sound clip of what to expect if you was to look at a setup like this. So to reiterate, I have the SPD stage 2 resonator, and I have the AWE exhaust connected to that resonator. So it's all a 3-inch exhaust all the way back, no longer that restrictive, reduced down to 2-inch whatever, and then it goes back to 3-inch after the big muffler. That's super restrictive. I didn't like looking at it. I didn't like the idea of it, especially because of how these 3.5 Ecoboosters run. They get a bit hotter than I like. Okay, so I'm starting with just the air, so getting better flowing air in the engine, get better flowing air out of the engine, and also working on the cooling system so that the demands of the cooling system doesn't be so harsh on the cooling system. Because just by doing some pulls for the exhaust, my coolant was over 220. It was like 221. Like, that's too hot. That's too hot. It's 43 degrees outside. So that has to be mitigated, and that has to be looked at. So I will be looking at the cooling system to do modifications as needed to make sure I am not running that hot, because running that hot isn't necessary. I don't care if it's emissions. It's not necessary to run that hot on a gasoline engine. So needless to say, that's the end of the video again. Thank you for watching. God bless, and I'll see you again.